Welcome everybody. This is Indigenous Psychological Services podcast, and we usually use these podcasts as an opportunity to educate and really get out the word of what we're doing and why it's so different. And I would love to welcome Marcus Johnstone as part of our speaker today. The work that he's doing is unbelievable. And so Marcus, can you tell me just a little bit about you?
Yeah, so I'm a provisional psychologist now at Indigenous Psychological Services. I'm a somatic experiencing practitioner. I assist in training with somatic experiencing. My background, so kind of what drew me into even being involved in your practice is spent the last, coming up on probably 10 years in traditional Nordic-Celtic style healing, so a lot of circle work, trauma healing, and it has a lot of similar crossovers with Indigenous culture, so it's a little touch into like how I kind of came into this. My background is in sports, athletics. I played soccer at a high level, so I have a high interest in like that area of personal development and growth, and yeah, that's my work-ish side of
done
things.
in a little short time.
Yeah.
All of the amazing work you do.
Yeah.
So can you tell me a little bit about that Celtic similarities with the Indigenous culture?
Yeah. So like this is what I kind of have learned over the years, is that when you go deeper into like honestly like many cultures, you go far enough down, it's like a lot of the same things, right? It's just like different language but same essence. Like we kind of say like everyone's reaching towards the same thing, whether you call it like creator, God, spirit, you're all reaching towards the same thing, and there's something like deep inside you that knows that, right? So
that soul.
Yeah, and that crosses language and everything like that. So I think when you get into kind of that healing work, that's where it crosses over, and then going into the reality of like circle work, like how it's all equal and everyone works together and we focus together, and there's different ceremony and things like that, a lot of respect learned through that kind of channel. So there's all these similar crossovers that come between them.
Yeah, and I really wanted you to come today and speak with us because some of the things that I'm seeing is the beautiful work that you're doing for Indigenous communities, and so it's such an honor to have you here and the things that you do. And I also noticed that that you're bringing in something very special that people are wanting. How did you even first of all find us? And tell us a little bit about that magic that you give, that I always say, how are you doing this? Because these people are wanting this, that we can maybe get kind of educate or share that knowledge out there, because it is very natural to you. So how did you first of all find us? And then, what is it that this thing that you have that's so important?
Yeah. I'm laughing because my wife helped me find you. Yeah, because you're in your practicum of your master's, right? So I did all that other work, but I've always wanted to do formal education to be able to do this in like the best way possible, accessible to people. And you're looking through all these places and practices, and you have no idea. And then we kind of stumble across this, and she's like, "I think this is for you," and like I really she's my wife now, and I trust her and adore her, and then I'm like, okay. And then I just kind of sat with it, I connected, and you're like, yeah, let's meet. And it's just one of those things that just like happened as soon as I met you. It clicked really well, and it just kind of went on from there, and now we're here.
And what is it about this practice that really draws you in, and then sharing the magic that we're seeing? Because lots of people are wanting your services and they're Indigenous. So can you maybe talk about that?
Yeah. So what draws me in here is like the people in the community, right? We have a circle approach. I just like get to be myself. And honestly, like coming in, I didn't know. I was like, oh, I can like be myself here. I can like bring what I've learned here and actually use it. And I think like that permission that I get here is why it's turning out the way it is, if that makes sense, right? I get to not just like have my psychological hat on and things like that. I get to bring in like all the stuff I've been learning over many And then as far, I feel like it's hard to talk about.
Yes, I always say it's like Marcus magic. That is, it also, the style that you have and created for the people that you work with is matching, you know, something that what people are really wanting. So this magic that you.
Yeah. Okay. So one of the first things I'll say is that, like, I think in healing, safety is magic. So I spent a lot of years learning in spaces of healing what safety feels like. Not what you think it is, what it feels like, the embodiment of safety. And I strive to bring that into practice. So if someone walks in the door and sits with me and we can make it feel safe for them, then a lot of the rest of the stuff is like really open for healing, right? It's like, I think it can be simpler than we think. I'm sure there's lots to it,
Yeah.
but you know what I mean? Like a big part of it is, can I have someone come in the door and feel safe, and can we connect? Because once that happens, then things go really well from there.
Right.
I know that's vague.
I really appreciate that you're saying that, because you're right. If somebody sits down and I say, you know, you're safe here, that doesn't mean anything. No. Why is that different than having somebody actually feel safe?
Yeah, actually, if you tell someone they're safe there, it probably will create a lack of safety, right? Because if someone tells me I'm safe, I'm like, well, why are they telling me that? Am I safe? Or why would they need to say that, right? It's an unspoken feeling. And so if we get into trauma and like lots of the work we do somatically, we start to learn that safety in the body feels like regulation, right? So when I'm regulated, when I'm present, that feels safe. So when we sit down regulated with someone, we're open and genuinely curious about what they're bringing there. I think that is how we create safety. Yeah, and telling someone that they're safe, I think is actually the opposite. And I've quite literally seen examples of that go really sideways in practices and things like that, where someone's told someone else you're safe, and they're like, no, I'm not. No one tells me I'm safe, which is interesting.
Yeah, and you also said, like, when you come, you know, to this space, like, this is your office. This is actually your office. One of the things that you said is, like, I show up as me, and I bet that has also a lot to do with safety.
Yeah. I just have to say this. The office is also set up to be safe for Indigenous people, which I have to like really name, right? So people come in and they're like, okay, I can be here because it's welcoming, there's medicines, there's art, there's everything that you would kind of want to see in this type of space. And then, being able to show up as you. And, you know, I think a lot of people agree that it's difficult to do that in the world right now. Yeah. Right? People are really struggling to show up as them. So, it's magic. Like I talk to, you know, other people who go to their workplaces, and they just don't have what we have here. So having the space, be safe enough to view myself, being able to show up as myself, I think it's all like a big part of what makes it a beautiful place for people to come.
Yeah, and noticing, you know, you said quite a few times about somatic. Yeah, so I'm also somatic as well, and I'm just so thankful. I feel like you in the somatic world, I mean, you're going to be teaching this across the world because you're so good. And again, it's this Marcus magic that you have. And, you know, in your eyes, Marcus, why does somatic work really fit with Indigenous trauma? What do you notice about that?
Yeah, so I think what fits is, like, in Indigenous culture, in lots of cultures, in spirituality, there's this like idea of embodiment, right? It's the unspoken stuff that really matters, right? And in trauma in general, like, people who have been traumatized they're not listening to what you say, they're watching what you do, and they're scanning and they're looking, and right? And you know, they might be like, oh, my thoughts are torturing me, but why is it? It's because the nervous system's so dysregulated and it's creating this discomfort, and I just want to be out of my body and escape. And what I kind of often say is, like, what I want for all people is for their body to be like the best place to be, like their home, so that they can feel comfortable just like in their body. So I think this ties in with, yeah, Indigenous culture, Indigenous people, because it relates to traditional cultural practices. It makes more sense, and they've been doing this way before somatic therapies ever came, right? Like, we're just kind of mimicking, I think, what a lot of other cultures and traditions already did. It's just in mainstream therapy.
Yeah, and I really appreciate what you're saying is that if we're going to be able to feel and heal the body, that we really need to feel the safety in order to move that energy or to really connect to something that's super uncomfortable, because there's medicine there. The medicine is there when we could go in and feel.
Yeah, right. So if, for example, we're seeing like addiction everywhere, and what's addiction is trying to escape all those feelings in my body that are too painful to handle. And we're not going to think our way through that, right? We're just not going to think our way to be able to get out of that. It's like we need a safe space with support to be able to take small pieces at a time and to kind of be with them, right, in a different way than maybe we ever have before. But we can't do that alone, and we can't do it all at once. What I often have to, I'm very straightforward with clients who come in, that I look at things as like a year plus, not a week.
Yeah.
Because this stuff didn't happen quickly, and it's not going to unravel quickly. And actually, when people try and do it really, really fast, it usually comes undone really fast.
I agree.
Yeah, so I always have this thing I say, that slowing down is speeding up. So when you're willing to take the time, it will happen. People who show up regularly and they keep coming and they work at it, it almost always gets better.
I also appreciate when you said that, sitting with somebody who is feeling something uncomfortable, how much we have to hold the space. And that, somatic, my knowledge is because of, I have complex trauma, working through to the complexities of healing, that I really need to be grounded. I really need to be able to, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, 100%. I think like what you're saying is kind of also a part of when you're saying like what's like the magic, and it's actually like simple fundamental things that like you need to be in a safe and good space in yourself and have, I say that always really gently, like the therapist has to have done their work and walked the talk and stuff like that. Otherwise your stuff's going to show up in the room, right? Something's going on over there, it's going to push on something over here, and we're human, and that's so allowed. It's just that we want to be aware to those kind of things and show up in the best way that we can. And without getting into like I've had my own versions of lots of struggles in my life, and I put a lot of time into my own life and healing, and it just then kind of becomes your life when you're involved in that, and that helps you show up in a way that's different, right? Like when you've done your healing, it's not coming in the room and playing on the other person's stuff when it's supposed to be about them and their healing, not your stuff.
Yeah, I really thank you so much for even sharing like that you've had to work through this, and I mean me too. Like we both shared a somatic training together. That was fun. Lots of regulation happening there, and I think that's the key piece is that if you were my client and I'm can't sit still, or my mind is wandering, or you could sense that I'm very anxious, how would that change the session?
Yeah. I always say to people, okay, so if you came in the room and I was like this, hey, how are you doing? How would you feel, right? What do you notice? Right? And it's very, very unsettling, right? Then that person is trying to manage my nervous system, right? And from a somatic lens, we feel that our nervous systems are communicating. We have nonverbal cues. So again, I would say more of it is nonverbal, right? So just sitting in the room with someone who's kind of safe, if you haven't really sat in the room with anyone who's generally safe. And when I say safe, I just mean regulated nervous system. And even that can be really uncomfortable when there's complex trauma.
Exactly, yeah. So it's almost like you're okay with sitting with my uncomfortableness, but you're holding and regulating me at the same time, because you're able to hold me as I'm discharging or moving this energy through. So this is very different type of a therapy, and I could see, I even do this with my clients, so I know why it's so important to get into the somatic trauma training. Which is very intense. It makes us embody the training, not knowledge. But mainstream therapy always confuses the person by we have to fix or create solutions, right? And let's maybe go into that a little bit. Like if you come in and I need to have the answer, or let's think about solutions. This is a very different approach.
Yeah, it's a very different approach. I always joke about like the somatic training that I went in, and I'm like, yeah, I'm a pretty regulated guy, ready to go, and then you're like, oh, and you're faced with, and it will be the same. Like, we're never there. We're just always arriving, never arrive type of thing. But so like a solution focused thing. I very much take the approach of like both. So bottom up first, which just means the body and working through that way. But there are things that people want to get better. An easy way to explain it though is like if someone wants to change something and it's sitting on top of a dysregulated nervous system, we can work at that habit or thing all we want, but the moment that person has stress and gets dysregulated, it's going to unfold back, right? So if we work from a nervous system regulation perspective, and the habits and behaviors, as the nervous system gets more regulated and the person's more regulated, the things that they want in life will be easier to achieve, if that makes sense. So there's still things that habits and skills and things that we can learn, but if you're putting it on top of a dysregulated nervous system, a lack of foundation, it's kind of like a stress curve. As stress comes up, we unfold back to old behavior patterns. So if we can manage stress and regulation, then we can implement new things and it's more attainable. If that makes sense.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I just really love how you explained that, because we go back into those thought patterns of what we know and we're renegotiating that.
Yes. Perfection. Renegotiating all the time.
Yeah, so I just want to share my favorite story of Marcus and the reason why, I'm just in awe of the work that you do, because you're very busy here. Like you're very busy here. People that have seen you, they continue to see you for a really long time, and just the stuff, like you're the magic, right? So my favorite Marcus story is we went medicine picking, and this is one of the things that I really loved and appreciated about you as an ally, is that you came to the sweats. My uncle said escapio, like right away he just was drawn to you and really liked you. And so, you are not afraid to experience our culture, and you're not afraid to embody it, like the importance of it. You just really kind of like took that in with such ease and grace, and it was like you've always been a part of us. And one of my favorite memories is, it was a day of the sweat, or a day before the sweat, and we were like, where's Marcus? As we went medicine picking, and we're like, Marcus, we're yelling, Marcus, where are you? And I thought, oh my God, I lost this guy in our field, in the bushes we were harvesting. And you took the teachings that my mother, was saying, like, you got to smell, connect with the land, and the prayers. Like you really shared that you just prayed and prayed, and we couldn't find the medicine. Like we couldn't find this particular medicine, and we couldn't find Marcus at one point because we didn't know where he went, and we got nervous. And about 20 minutes later, you came back with a handful of medicine, and we still have it here. And it was like my favorite memory of, this is how you are. You're just filled with medicine to people. Like you really can give medicine to others, or get them to get connected to their medicine. But you're also really connected to the culture and the land, and you're really connected to yourself, and you're really connected to the people, the community. And it's really beautiful, because you show up just yourself. You don't show up as a psychologist.
Yeah, no.
My favorite memory. We also, little side story, Marcus and I were on a quad and we went and we tipped it over and we were on our side and that was fun.
Yeah.
He was able to get back into the land. And so last words or anything for you about people watching this? Like we do get quite a few viewers, and anything that you want to share, like if it's personal or professional, you know, the work that you do.
I just wanted to even say to like what you're saying, like in the culture, it's like that's the beautiful thing, is that the culture is open to anyone, so you can feel welcome, right? And if I wasn't allowed to be myself, then I couldn't show up like that. So it's just a very welcoming thing. But as far as my work, I think I talked about a lot of it, right? Very somatic based. I say I'm gentle, direct. That's kind of the thing. And I think when you go out through life, like, you know, I needed a particular person and support and receive support throughout my life. And I'm just really trying to be that version of myself. And hopefully that connects with certain people. And it won't connect with everybody. But I think it's kind of natural to go and try and be the person you feel like you needed in your life. And that's what I really strive to do. But yeah, this culture, these people, you guys welcome me with open arms, and as long as that's there, then I'm gonna be here working. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. One word, if I can describe Marcus, it would be kindness. Like, you're very kind, and you did receive this award of the Butterfly of Love, and you're so kind, and I can really always feel that with you. And I know others have always shared that there's just this beautiful energy about you. So I'm just so thankful that you're with us. You've ridden waves of us starting out and growing, not knowing, you know, you must have had a lot of faith in me, because we went into like, what am I doing? I think I'm having a nervous breakdown myself and I need therapy. And you just kind of held my hand and said, this is really important. And so I'm so appreciative and everything that you do, and just want to thank you for even sharing this.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome.